नमस्कार। आज का फिर वीडियो में आपका सबका स्वागत है। मेरे इस वीडियो का नाम है भारत का बरगद, जिसमें हम ये कोशिश करते हैं कि अपने देश को इतना ग्रेट महान बनाया जाए ताकि जैसे कि बरगद की शाखाएं अपने ज़मीन से जुड़ती हैं और पेड़ इतना स्ट्रांग हो जाता है, ऐसे ही अपना देश भारत भी बरगद की तरह फैले और स्ट्रांग हो। ये मेन इसका वो है। सो आज का जो वीडियो है, लेट अस स्टार्ट विद today's video. This video is very controversial, and it is extremely important. And this video is going to be long, a little bit long, because it is very pertinent and related to the current situation in our country. And the name of this video is Fifth Element Anguish. Now, when you see the whole video, you will know why it is anguish. But before that, I need to explain you what is fifth element. So that we will come across when we continue with this video. I will tell you what the fifth element means. But in the beginning, I can tell you that as we know that India has a caste system which is very ancient and which is divided into four classes. We all know that Brahman, Kshatri, Vaishya, and Shudra. So the fifth element is not one of these four. There is another group which some people call it fifth element, and in common language it is called Dalit. Means a group of people who do the very mean job, even below Shudra people, which we call it Dalit. And it has a many name. Mahatma Gandhi called them untouchables. We call them Dalit. And in English it is also called sanitation worker. Those who keep the society and city and town clean. These are the people who take care of the waste. It is the society waste or human activity waste that includes culture, that includes personal, the cleaning of personal excreta. So that is called I consider fifth element two classes here. One is the fourth element, which is called Shudra, and also the fifth one, which is not mentioned in those four, but it do exist, which is called Dalit, and which is, I call them all together fifth element. So we will talk about in this why they are unhappy, why this fifth element is not happy, and what has happened from ancient time to even today. They are going through a lot of problems. So let me start here again. Now, there are certain lot of ancient civilization which has been vanished in antiquity, and I have named some of them, and I will go over slowly with them. The culture, the civilization that has been vanished are Mesopotamia, Egypt, Rome, China, Maya, Incas, and some other. Uh, all of these are vanished. There are many reasons for that. I will try to refer some of the reasons for that, but let me start our own civilization. The Hindu civilization or India civilization or Sindhu Ghati civilization, Sindhu Valley civilization, any you can call them by any name. It is still surviving today, the oldest surviving civilization. Now, I will go over. Lot of people have given many explanation to this. Why in Hindu civilization is still existing today? It is because of it is a polytheistic civilization, and it also give respect and worship the natural forces, and it is very tolerant and this and that. There are a lot of situations, a lot of conditions they talk about many in the main media that why Hindu civilization is still continuing. But I see some problem here. I want to go over with those problems. First of all, what is the reason that civilization is still going on? So let me tell you what are the reasons. This civilization has a geographical barrier. Northeast, there is a Himalayan mountain. Northwest, there is a Hindu Kush mountain. Southwest, there is a Bay of Bengal, that is ocean. Then in the south, extreme south, there is the Indian Ocean. Then on the southwest, there is the Arabian Ocean. So our Indian continent, the Indian continent is a safeguard, or it is protected by these natural barrier. However, there is one fault line, and that fault line is Hindu Kush Khyber Pass. It is a small passage that people from out of this land can cross the mountain from the west side, which is called Hindu Kush Mountain, and there is a narrow passage. Then there is no stoppage on that, and they can just pass through to come to the Indian subcontinent. That is called the fault line. And this was the very famous passage where lot of foreign invaders came to India. I will go over with more detail again. So if you go back and see here that there is a lack of foreign invasion before 600 AD. Now, there are certain invasions happens before 600 AD, but these were very temporary, and these invaders never try to make a permanent settlement in Indian subcontinent. And there is a Muhammad bin Qasim in 600 AD. He was the one, but he came and he invaded the Sindh and Sindh Valley civilization, but he never attempted to do a permanent settlement. So the invaders are this period only two exceptions. Those two exceptions are, number one is called Persian invasion. It is called Great Cyrus, and then Darius, the Cyrus grandson. He was the Persian invasion before 600 AD. Then there are after that, Alexander the Great came roughly about 300 or 400 BC, called Alexander came. But these all were the temporary invasion. So if you look at the history, the invasion that happens, uh, temporary invasions, those are the two that I have mentioned. The and there are also some other temporary invasions happens before that. It's called Mahmud Ghaznavi. He plundered the Indian subcontinent and left. He didn't put anybody to govern whatever he achieved. Same thing, Muhammad Ghori, it was also temporary invasion. He came and he left. But after that, he left Muhammad Ghori. Then came the Tamur. Then Tamur Lung, he also invaded India as a plundering of Tamur. So there was no serious attempt to 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 convert, or should I say, the Islamic conversion never happened before that. So whatever Tamur, I just mentioned one thing. I have read the autobiography of the Tamur. There he mentioned that when he was coming to invade Delhi or Punjab side, on the route, thousands of people, Indian, especially 99% of the Shudra and fifth element, these people came to Tamur. And it is mentioned in the autobiography of the Tamur that he said himself that these people came, thousands and thousands in number, and they came and they requested Tamur that please, we want to join Islam, your religion, because we have been outcasted and we have been seriously discriminated from the main Indian society and Indian kings. So please, I want to convert. So that's why they converted. So this is called the voluntary conversion at the time of Tamur Lung. But let us go one step further and let me say what I have found out, that the Hindu caste system started roughly about 3,000 years back. And 3,000 years back, at the time of Vedic period. So we know we have 4 Ved. Out of those Ved, it is written in those Ved that the Indian caste system started by that time. So this caste system continued all the way up to from Vedic period, all the way up to the Delhi Sultanate, always 1,000 years. There was no interruption in this philosophy and in this, I should say, continuation of society like this for whole 1,000 years. That is from 1200 BC, from Vedic period, to 1200 AD. That is almost 1,000 years. By this time, the Hindu caste system is deeply rooted. I said deeply rooted in Hindu culture. So this is the situation till the time of Delhi Sultanate. Now conversion away from Hinduism. So because of this caste system, and I will go over again as population wise, what is the percentage of population of the fifth element from Vedic period to this time? I'm not talking about the number. I'm talking about the percentage of society, those who are called fifth element or Shudra. So let us see, because of dissatisfaction of this section of the society, conversion keeps on going on from ancient time. So let us see where this thing started, this conversion thing. So let us go over from 400 BC, from Vedic period Now come to the 400 BC, two religion started from Hinduism, away from Hinduism. One is called Jainism, other one is called Buddhism. So Jainism and Buddhism started from this society in this time of Jainism and Buddhism. Now I just give you one example, my personal example. Few years back, I was in Chicago with attending some wedding, and there were two sections for the food. One is for the normal people, and the other section is for the Jain, those who are Jain, for Jain population. So my next person who was sitting me, he was Jain. So we were just going into a discussion that okay, in Chicago there are a lot of good temples of this, and Hindu goes to that temple, and we already we like all this area here, we like every bit. So somehow the other he got some other impression, and he told me that, Dr. Sahai, sorry to tell you, but I'm not Hindu. So don't consider me as a Hindu. I'm a Jainism. I follow Jainism, I don't follow Hinduism. My impression came is that although Jainism and Buddhism is an offshoot of Hindu, but that doesn't mean that they consider themselves Hindu. They don't consider themselves Hindu. They came out of Hindu and they become either Jainism or Buddhism. Totally different religion and different culture. So first of all, understand this. In main media, we all talk about Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism is the part of Hindu culture. No, it is not. Once again, it is, they don't consider themselves Hindu. Whatever you say, in their heart, they don't consider themselves. There may be many reasons. So let us come to the Islamic conversion. Why the Islamic conversion? It started from Delhi Sultanate and Mughal dynasty. This is the starting point. Before that, let me tell you this, up until the time of Delhi Sultanate, that is Qutbuddin and all those people, when they came, the slave and all those things, it started from slave dynasty, which is called, if you go to my previous video, you will see that. But there are two types of Islamic conversion that I have seen. And this is my interpretation of this conversion thing. There are two types of conversion I will discuss today. One is called, in the time of Islamic conversion, one is called large-scale voluntary Islamic conversion. And then there is a small-scale forced Islamic conversion. And then there is I will give you reasons why I came to this conclusion that the Islamic conversion in India, majority of Islamic conversion is voluntary, not forced. I will go over with that. Up until from 1200 AD, when the Delhi Sultanate started, and at the time of Aurangzeb from 1707, this was, we see a lot of voluntary Islamic conversion. Why? Because the sheer number of Shudra and fifth element population. Now, why we consider, see, when you consider a kingdom, like king and king sultanate or king ministers and then army there was only foot army. There were horse ride, chariots, elephants, and all those part of the army. But majority of the army, who are those people? Who was the fighting hand to hand? What kind of people was invading other army? It's not the elephant in more number. It's not the horses in more number. It's not the chariot in more number. The ground reality was that it is the foot soldier who used to do hand-to-hand battle. What kind of people are these? What kind of castes? If you look at the caste system, which caste do you think will make the foot army? Do you think Brahman will make the foot army? Do you think Kshatri will make the foot army? They are the king and ministers and horse riders and chariots and elephant riders. Do you think they will make the army? They are part of army, but the main army is the foot soldiers. Who are these foot soldiers? What kind of the element of society? These like thousands and millions and these people. Who are these people? So these are the fifth element Shudra, and those are the people that who are main army. So majority of these, why they side with the Islamic king and ruler? Because of biased feeling from the Hindu culture. These are the people who have they have taken lot of heat from elite class, Hindu class. They were pushed out of the town. They were living surrounding the town. They were not allowed to come into the town because it was the Hindu elite people that controlling the town administration. These were pushed aside. So these are the people who were voluntary conversion. Now, I don't say that there was no forced conversion. There was forced conversion, but it was not at very large scale, and I will give you reasons for that. Now, how can you have a forced Islamic conversion, that is execution of non-Muslim in public? This is one way. Killing of non-Muslim, second ways. Force non-Muslim to pay extra tax, we call about jizya tax, and force non-Muslim women under rape, force wedding with Muslim. So these are the things which have forced conversion, Islamic conversion. Let us talk about that. Why I think that forced Islamic conversion was not widespread? Of course it was there, but it was not widespread that people try to portray this thing. The reasons, these are the reasons which I figure out. No widespread media at that time. Only the handwritten notice on the wall and community, and unamplified voice announcement. Difficulty in gathering crowd. It was very difficult to gather a lot of crowd to witness this kind of crime. A written or drum trumpet announcement. They used to give a written and drum trumpet announcement that they are going to show the execution in public so that a lot of people can come and watch. The second hand, and the same thing as it is now, the second hand information is not trustworthy and accurate. Now, let me mention this little bit here. Nowadays, word has become very small because one person nowadays, you have options to go anywhere in the world by sea route, by land, and by air. You have aeroplanes, you have trains, you have ships, you have car, you have other automobiles. So the word has become, the word has shrink a lot. Within, truly speaking, if you're traveling by air, you can go anywhere in the world in a day, less than a day. You can go anywhere in the world. But in ancient time, think of before there was no invention of car and everything. Only the thing they have is a horse and chariots and foot soldiers. There is nothing like a big transportation. Transportation was not that great and in those times. So a common person, let me give you this idea. A common person throughout his lifetime, he may not be able to go more than 200-300 miles away from where he lives. His whole life will spend there. He will not be able to go. Just give an example here. At the time of Civil War in America, USA, the Civil War was on East Coast, Civil War was on West Coast, Mid Coast. During that time, before the Civil War, people came to America and they only settled on the East Coast for hundreds of years before they venture out to go to the West Coast. So it was very difficult for a person to travel from one place to other place. As I told you, a common person will stay in his surrounding 100-200 miles throughout his lifetime. He cannot go away from there. So if you see, Islamic conversion was not that widespread, as again, more than 70% of the Hindu population, lower class, did not resist voluntary or forced Islamic conversion due to feeling against the higher Hindu caste. This is the main reasons for conversion. Now, nowadays, I'm giving you one perspective here. Nowadays, in contemporary India, now in India, and also in the ancient time, Shudra constitutes 52% of the population. Okay? Dalit constitutes 16.6% of the population. Dalits are greater in number than Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya combined, that is 32%. So 32% of these three people, three castes, and rest of them, about 70% population, is the Shudra and fifth element. Now I'm giving why I consider this the Islamic conversion is mostly voluntary. There I have one. I gave you an example at the time of autobiography of the Taimur Lane. The second example is very recent, extremely recent. And see, you can Google it. I'm telling you what happened in 1956 in India. Modern time mass voluntary conversion to Buddhist. People converted from Hindu to Buddhism, and it was led by no other than Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar in Nagpur, October 14, 1956. 500,000, remember this, and you can Google it, about 500,000 untouchables converted to Buddhism along with Dr. Ambedkar in just 36 hours. 500,000 people converted to Buddhism. This is the modern time conversion. Now I am going to go back again to the forced Islamic conversion, how they do it. India, like a public display of non-Muslim persecution and execution to give terror message to society. It's not a very large number of this, as I told you, that only locally effective, less area of spread of terror, and there is a belief and disbelief of second-hand information. A lot of people don't believe in second-hand information and lack of evidence, because suppose I saw something I saw some execution in front of Red Fort in Delhi in those days, and that's where some people were gathered there. They saw the execution, they got terror. Now you go from your place to some other place 50, 100 miles away from there, and you explain what you have seen in Red Fort, the execution there. Who is going to believe that? How much credit people are going to give you if you say this kind of thing? And then to give terror message like this. Then there is a non-Muslim taxes. The destruction of conversion of Hindu temple to masjid. Now this is another way of doing things. Now this thing has only happened. It only happens in northern part of India, where the temples were very visible. You can see a lot of temples in north in India, and the Mughal and Delhi Sultanate was mostly in the north part of India. If you go south, there are still magnificent temple. The whole south is filled with remarkable and magnificent temple. Everywhere. There is no destruction of those temples, because the Islamic rulers, they have never conquered South India. They only conquered north part up to the Bengal and here up to the Punjab. That was the only region, the Ganges Plateau. That's where they only remain. So South Indian big temples, the magnificent temples surrounded by vegetation and forest, are untouched by Islamic rulers. So majority of the conversion, as I told you, whether it is Islamic conversion or Christian conversion, in my impression, is mostly voluntary. I don't mean that the forced conversion was not there. It was there. But it was not a very major conversion. It was minor conversion. Now, look at the voluntary Islamic conversion by Shudra and Fifth Element, as I told you, at the time of Taimur autobiography. You can go to see Taimur autobiography, you will see that. Then let us talk about some spread of Christianity. You know, when Jesus Christ was giving his teachings and everything, there were 12 people who were from the time of Christ. They were called apostles, 12 apostles. Out of that, there was one apostle which is called Thomas, Saint Thomas, Apostle Thomas. He came to the India in the Kerala coast and Malabar Hill area. And he came and then he tried to spread his Christianity mostly in rural and tribal and remote places. Because if you see the construction and population of churches, they are mostly in tribal area and in very remote areas where there are tribal people and Shudra people and untouchables people live. So, because there was no class system, everybody was able to go to church irrespective of any religion or any caste. So, it was very alluring to these Fifth Element, and they start conversion to Christian conversion. Now, once again, I'm telling you, all these conversion mostly happening from fifth element and Shudra to other religion, as I am explaining. So, main reasons for above assumption is the caste system, Vedic period. Now, I want to go over the timeline of this type of thing, what I have discussed. The Vedic period started from 1500 to 500 BC, that origin of the caste system. Jainism and Buddhism around 700 BC to 400 BC at the time of Maurya dynasty, the great Ashoka the Great. Then the Persian invasion, as I explained to you about Darius I and Cyrus. Then there was Alexander invasion, 300 BC. Then Christianity, Saint Thomas Apostle came about 40 AD. Islam started from 600 BC. The Delhi Sultanate started from 1200 AD. And Mughal dynasty started from 1400 AD, from the time of Babur, and it ends with the Bahadur Shah Zafar in 1857. Then there was a British invasion which started from Jahangir, the Mughal Emperor Jahangir, at the time from 1600 AD, and which ends in 1947 AD, when there was a transfer of power and self-governance of India. That's where the thing. Now, we talk about that this is a very existing religion, this culture and civilization. It is existing for thousands of years. All the other cultures has vanished. Let me say this here, very important thing. There was a time that we call it the Indian subcontinent, which started from west of Pakistan, even before, from Hindu Kush mountain, Sindh Ghati civilization, from that all the way up to the Myanmar and Indonesia and all those places. And in the north, it was up to the northwest Afghanistan and Russia and all those things, China. And so this Indian subcontinent, Indian civilization or Indian culture was, Indian subcontinent was very big. From the time of Vedic period, it was extremely large. Within 1,000 years, from the time of Delhi Sultanate and Mughal Empire, this whole Indian subcontinent has keep on shrinking. Now we have only India and one tiny country, Nepal. These are the only two countries at this time which are Indian Hindu country. So, India has shrinked, Indian subcontinent has shrinked from that big place to only India and Nepal. So, influence and impact of caste system of Hinduism is that started from Vedic period, and it is still resonating in society of modern India. Less in urban area, but more in rural area. Ancient Indian subcontinent, you can, as I just told you, Balochistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Burma, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, etc. You can name it. That was so big in under one umbrella. Now, everything is gone. We are only left with India and Nepal. If we don't do anything to safeguard this India, which is shrink from Indian subcontinent to only India, if we don't do anything constructive, we will be in great trouble. no matter what you do, no matter which government is there, you cannot survive another 500 or 1000 years if nothing is done in the constructive way. Just saying that we are good, we have Hindu Rashtra, and we have Hindu nationalism, and this and that. Believe me, I have seen in my first hand the Hindu society and culture is still divided. Is still divided. Lot of people talk about that there is a lot of improvement has happened and we embrace everybody, sabka saath, sabka vikas. This is very good to say, sabka saath, sabka vikas, but just saying is not going to help. You have to name. We want to uplift Shudra. We want to uplift untouchables. Still today, a normal high class people, in high caste people, they will not sit with their cook, with their driver, any lower caste people, those who come and serve the high class people in their home, even today, they will not eat food at the same table where their own people are living. They will not allow their cook, their driver, or their cleaning lady to have food and eat in the same table as you are sitting. Nobody will allow that. Till this, in America, this is not like that. I mean, I can give you two example. One day, it was like 20 years back, maybe more. In a New York far east places, I was doing my medical practice. I had a hobby of playing golf. So I was going to golf range where you hit the shot. So I was going to golf range and hitting the shot, practicing my golf. Another guy was also practicing with me. Believe me, golf is not a cheap sport. You have to pay a lot of money for that. Then I look at this guy who was next to me doing same thing what I was doing. I recognize him. He was the guy who used to drive a trash truck and who used to pick up my trash can, take the bag from my trash can, toss in his truck and drive away. So he was a trash collector in my area. This type of people is doing golf range. And I have people who is working for my daughters and they are taking care. There are ladies who come and help them to take care of to cook the food, to take care of the baby. But this lady, she's a cleaning lady. She helped to my daughter's my granddaughter take care. She come and sit in the same table and eat the same food what we eat. There is no demarcation like that. But in Indian culture, you cannot do that. So why Indian civilization has shrunk only to India and Nepal, these are the main factors which I see. Main factor responsible for this shrinkage. Divided Hindu society and culture, number one. Number two is Hindu caste system. And number three is discrimination and suppression of lower Hindu caste. And fifth element of the population. Now, this is a little bit encouraging sign. I hope this will continue. But as I said, just saying sabka saath, sabka vikas, this is not going to do anything. You have to name and you have to lift each of these fifth element people. Only then you have to make them equal to your own people. Only then Just saying sabka vikas, sabka saath, sabka vikas is not going to get through. It is going on for the last 8 years. It's not going to go through unless you specifically name Dalit, fifth element, other minority religion. Only you have to name them, Islam or Christianity or tribals or whatever. You have to name and uplift them to your same level. You consider them to your same level. Only then there will be a real Hindu Rashtra and Hindu culture. You can save that. Otherwise, God knows. So, in modern India, there is a new emergence of Hindu unity and solidarity. I see them on the TV and I see them all the time. We call it as a Hindu Rashtra. Unless we remove the differences between higher and lower caste, as I just mentioned, and embrace every caste and culture under one roof, only then real mighty Hindu Rashtra will emerge. Okay? So, how and when this will happen, only time and new challenges will tell. It's a very uphill task. We are not there yet. There are a lot of obstacles in the middle, and it is the duty and responsibility of young and old people of India to understand this problem and work together to achieve this goal. Only then there will be a Hindu Rashtra. I know this video will generate a lot of controversy, and I will be taking a lot of heat from many people because I have just opened a Pindara box. Normally people don't want to open Pindara box because it is uncomfortable for higher caste. So they don't want to talk about this thing. They just want to continue sabka saath, sabka vikas, Hindu culture for everybody. We love everybody. We don't discriminate, this and that. But in the real sense, if you go to the rural area, you still don't want to drink a glass of water from a Shuddha family or untouchable family. You will not drink water from their glass. So, unless this caste system, it persisted for more than 2000 years. How long it will take to get rid of this system or this influence? God only knows, and time will only tell. So thank you for watching. You have any questions? Feel free to ask or write in the comment. Thanks a lot. And Jai Shri Ram.